Hello and welcome to Around the Wickets here on ThePapare.com. Well, today we're trying to analyze Sri Lanka's performance in the two test matches versus Bangladesh. Obviously, we Sri Lankans were expecting the Bangladeshis to be rolled over, but it did not happen the way it was planned, and unfortunately, the series ended 1-1. Now, the Sri Lankans started on a high in Galle, and that was mainly due to some outstanding cricket by the Sri Lankans. And I thought the way the Bangladeshis played, they weren't really great, particularly scoreboard pressure on day 5. The Bangladeshis struggled, and Roshan Abeysinghe really went to town with them, just slicing through the low order, and the Bangladeshis just couldn't recover. Now, in the process, Roshan Abeysinghe became the highest wicket-taking left-arm spinner in Test cricket. He went past Daniel Vittori, outstanding achievement for the Sri Lankan captain, and I think he thoroughly deserved it. And also I felt that the rubber, the green went Sri Lanka's way, particularly that Kusal Mendis's no ball, possibly the most expensive no ball that the Bangladeshis have ever bowled. Now, he was out of the very first ball, and 194 was the runs he made after he was given that reprieve. So that was Galle, and that was done and dusted. But come to Colombo, now there were a few eyebrows raised in terms of what the Sri Lankans did. Now, first and foremost, what was the plan? Now, why did Sri Lanka on a Sara oval pitch go with just one fast bowler? Well, historically, one felt that the oval pitch is more conducive to pace and bounce. Now, Lahiru Kumara certainly had the pace, he had the bounce, the way he bowled. I felt he was a little bit unlucky. That was number one. Number two, few people thought the oval pitch always got better as the game progressed. So why do you win the toss and bat if the pitch was not going to turn? It was quite dry, but it never turned. So was that the right decision that the Sri Lankans made? Besides, a bit surprised at the Sri Lankan approach. Now, 338 is what they made in the first innings from 70 for 4. They should be given all the credit for that. Dinesh Chandimal was outstanding. This was one of the finest knocks I've seen Dinesh Chandimal play, and I'm so pleased to see him amongst runs because Sri Lanka need Dinesh Chandimal to be making those runs at that position. But let's talk about the rest of the batting. Now, Dimuth Karunaratne really needs to put his hand up. I do know that he got 100 in the second innings, but he definitely has a problem in the first innings. If you look at his averages, his first innings average is only 28. His second innings average is almost 39. So it's 11 runs difference per innings. And as an opening batsman, you would expect him to be scoring runs in both innings. And the lack of consistency in the openers once again was seen. Now, when I say lack of consistency, I'm not talking about individual efforts. I'm talking about openers as a partnership. Then, one other factor that I thought that the Sri Lankans really missed out was on day 4. At 140 for 1, when Sri Lanka went into lunch and came out of lunch, and then that second wicket fell of Kusal Mendis, why did the Sri Lankans become very tentative? I thought Dhananjay De Silva, before that Dinesh Chandimal and Gunaratne, they were very, very tentative and got the feeling that they just allowed Bangladesh to dictate terms. Sri Lanka should have just batted the normal way. They had Dimuth Karunaratne as their safeguard, as their anchor, and the 3 batsmen I'm talking about are free scoring players. Why did they take the route of trying to be defensive? Now, these are questions that I have in my mind. And then Niroshan Dickwell, I don't think this youngster is doing justice to his great talent. In the first innings, he made 30 plus, made batting look so easy, and then attempted a reverse sweep and gave Bangladesh the opening they wanted. And in the second innings, I thought he was a bit unlucky, but then all these things count against you. Just looking to work the ball on the leg side, caught brilliantly down the leg side. Also, one other thing, in case you remember, was that stupidity or madness of Bangladesh on day 2, that last half hour. Sri Lanka really came back strongly. Sandakan had 2 wickets, Suranga Lakmal had a wicket, and then we did see Shakib Al Hasan coming in and just started throwing his bat around. It looked so predictable and he could have been out any moment. Well, he skied to Pultaranga, and I think 9 times out of 10 he should have taken that catch. And then we did see Lakmal coming in and bowling, and the short ball skied, and then Dinesh Chandimal a little bit late to start off, just couldn't get underneath it. Now, how costly were these misses as we look at the final result of the second test match? So these things really worked against Sri Lanka, though I don't want to take anything away from the way the Bangladeshis played. All credit to them. Never easy to come back after losing a first test by 259 runs, come back and win the second test and draw the series. Lot of credit to the Sri Lankan coaching staff with Bangladesh. I'm sure Haturu Singh, Thilan Samaraveera, they would have really done their homework and they would have known exactly what to do come situations like that. Now, our next focus is the one-day series. The first two games are in Dambulla, day-night games, 25th and 28th. And my gut feel is that the Sri Lankans are going to have it even harder against the Bangladeshis in the shorter format than in Test cricket. Because let's not forget that Bangladesh never had a proper first-class tournament for the last 4 or 5 years. In fact, I should rephrase and say that they started a proper first-class tournament, say about 3 or 4 years ago. All the while, they were playing limited over cricket. Bangladeshis weren't great in Test cricket, but they were so passionate and fond of one-day cricket, and they were winning. So this one-day side that they have are going to be a really competitive one, and it's the experience we are talking about. When in international games, we know that it's about winning moments. Now, to win moments, you need players who know how to handle moments. Now, how do you get that knowledge? You get it out of experience. Now, Bangladesh has a very experienced side. Now, what the Sri Lankans have done is that they have brought in some new cricketers or recalled some older ones because Niroshan Dikwella is serving a suspension. He won't be available to play. So, Kusal Janit Pereira is back. I'm delighted for him. Playing in the district tournament, he started to get runs. Danushka Gunatilaka always thought that he's a player that should be given an extended run. Very aggressive, nice upright left-hander. Thisara Pereira is back. Sri Lanka needs to make use of this talent. Thisara Pereira is one player who can really turn the game with his bat. He's someone who can hit big sixes, who's someone who's a very strong striker of the ball. Now, I'm not sure whether Sri Lanka has anyone like Thisara Pereira who could strike the ball. If he can just get his bowling together, I think he's going to be such an important part in one-day cricket and T20 cricket. And Sikuge Prasanna is being recalled into the one-day side after playing just T20 cricket. So that's the makeup of the one-day side. Angelo Matthews not available. Upul Taranga will be captaining the side. So after the two day-night games in Dambulla, Sri Lanka will play a day game in at the SSC. After quite a while, I must say, on April Fool's Day, 1st April, Sri Lanka will be playing a day game at the SSC after a very long time. And I can tell you that this one-day series is going to be as competitive as the Test series, though we didn't expect the Test series to be that tough for the Sri Lankans. So, as far as I'm concerned, I'm hoping that the Sri Lankans will be able to come back strongly and make amends for that loss at the Sara and win the one-day series, though that, I can tell you, my friends, is easier said than done. So that's it on Around the Wickets on ThePapare.com. Just to remind you before you go, we got cricketry at the end of every game. So you could join us and listen to the day's analysis and understand what happened in the day and how the result went about, or how the teams went about and how the result happened, so that you will know, in case you missed the action, you will know what exactly happened. So as far as the Around the Wickets on ThePapare.com, we will come back after the one-day series is over and just before the T20 series starts. Until then, it's goodbye from us.